Chapter 2121, Monster. Two figures moved slowly across the tranquil landscape of the Pure Land. A gentle breeze carried the scent of wildflowers and rustled the tall grass, creating a serene melody. One was a young woman, her delicate features illuminated by the warm glow, and the other was a man, whose quiet strength seemed to anchor her presence. They paused occasionally, their footsteps halting to admire the scenery. The young woman, Hua Kili, would point to the meandering stream or the swaying trees, her voice soft yet brimming with life as she explained the history and beauty of the place. The man, Yu Che, listened intently, though his gaze rarely left her face. There was a quiet reverence in his expression, as if every word she spoke was a treasure. As they walked further, Yu Che reached out, pulling Hua Kili closer. Their steps slowed until they stopped entirely, wrapped in each other's warm presence. Her soft features leaned into him, and he encircled her in his embrace, a shield against all the hardships of the past. Big brother Yu, after this we'll be together, right? Hua Kili asked, her voice trembling slightly as her luminous eyes turned misty. She tilted her head upward to meet his gaze, the weight of years apart shining in her eyes, before resting her head quietly against his chest, finding comfort in the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Yes, Yu Che answered, his voice low and steady but filled with conviction. It was only one word, but it carried all the promises she needed. He lowered his lips and placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, lingering as if to seal the moment. I've missed you so much, you know, Hua Kili murmured, her voice a fragile whisper that broke the stillness. Her arms tightened around him, as though afraid he might slip away. The past 3 years had been a trial for her, each day a test of her patience and resolve. Yet she knew it hadn't been easy for Yu Che either. The lines of weariness on his face, faint but unmistakable, told their own story. Yu Che said nothing in response, but his embrace grew firmer, his actions speaking the words he could not. For a moment, time seemed to stop, their shared warmth shielding them from the world. Slowly, reluctantly, they eased apart, though the bond between them remained unbroken. We have to show a bit more restraint for now, Yu Che said softly, his hand lifting to gently brush away the tears that clung to the corners of her eyes. Mum, Hua Kili replied with a soft hum of agreement, her cheeks tinged with a faint blush. She cast her gaze downward, but her hands lingered in his, unwilling to fully let go. The two slowly made their way toward the spot where their respective groups were waiting. Earlier, Hua Kili had brought Yu Che to meet High Priest Six Laughs. During their meeting, Yu Che completely shattered the High Priest's understanding of cooking mastery. Not only did Yu Che flawlessly create the legendary moon and cloud cake and the intricate 4-colored cloud soup, but he went on to prepare several other extraordinary dishes when the High Priest, unwilling to accept the results, asked Yu Che to cook him again and again. In the end, the old High Priest, though reluctant, was forced to accept the results. Contents: dark. Yet, even as he acknowledged Yu Che's mastery, his pride as a culinary expert refined over millions of years would not let the matter rest. His piercing gaze locked onto Yu Che as he asked, his voice heavy with disbelief, how did you do it? How can someone so young, who hasn't even lived a fraction of my years, possess such terrifying cooking mastery? What is your secret? The room grew silent as the High Priest's words echoed, the weight of his question pressing down on everyone present. For someone of his status, revered not only as a profound cultivator but also as a legendary culinary master, being surpassed was an unimaginable blow. To think that a mere youth could achieve something that had eluded him for countless millennia was almost unbearable. Yu Che, however, remained calm under the High Priest's scrutiny. His expression was serene, betraying none of the storm within his mind. He knew the risks of revealing too much but also understood the importance of gaining the High Priest's trust. With a slight smile, he replied, it's not as mysterious as you think. I used light profound energy to enhance their natural essence. It's a subtle but effective technique. As Yu Che answered, his hand grew faintly with white light, its holiness and pure aura spread out. The room froze. Gasps rippled through the attendants as their eyes widened in shock. The High Priest's composure cracked as his eyes widened with shock. It was a pity, but in the end, the High Priest had no choice but to let Yu Che go. His questions remained unanswered, his pride bruised, and his thoughts restless, but he could not stop the pair from leaving. Yu Che and Hua Keli ascended into the sky, their figures shrinking as they flew further into the horizon, leaving the dejected high priest. The attendants, still dazed from the events that had unfolded, dared not speak a word as their master remained motionless, lost in thought. Setting. App. As Yu Che and Hua Keli flew through the open skies, the winds carried with them. The serenity of the moment should have eased Yu Che's mind, but his thoughts were clouded, his heart unsettled. He glanced at Hua Keli, her expression bright and carefree, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing within him. Just as the pair gone vast distance away, Yu Che suddenly heard a voice echo in his mind. Kid, the familiar voice of High Priest Six laughs resonated, startling Yu Che. I've watched that little girl grows up and treasure her as if she were my own granddaughter. The way she looks at you. I hope I'm wrong about what I'm thinking. But whatever, since you are interesting, I'll help you out when the time comes. The voice faded as abruptly as it had appeared, leaving Yu Che momentarily stunned. His flight faltered slightly as the words sank in. He didn't respond, knowing it was unnecessary. The old priest would not expect one. Yet the message lingered in his mind, stirring unease. The high priest's tone carried no malice, but there was a depth to his words that Yu Che could not ignore. The casual demeanor of the man who called himself Six Laughs hid a terrifying perception, one that saw far deeper than anyone Yu Che had encountered before. That the old man had already grasped the subtle nuances behind Hua Keli's actions was both impressive and unsettling. As Yu Che and Hua Keli drew closer to where their respective kingdom groups were stationed, a sudden resonance echoed in their minds, voices imbued with divine authority. Yuan, you've returned. Keli, you've returned, the voices carrying relief. Without exchanging a word, the pair quickened their pace, their figures streaking across the sky like meteors as they headed toward their respective forces. Soon, Yu Che arrived at the gathering spot of the Dreamweaver Kingdom's people located. The area was bustling with activity, but a subtle tension hung in the air, palpable to someone as perceptive as Yu Che. Among the group, Meng Qongchen, the so-called father, stood with his usual calm demeanor. He greeted Yu Che with a faint smile, but his silence conveyed an undercurrent of seriousness. Yu Che responded with a polite bow, his expression respectful yet unreadable. Just as he was about to speak, Meng Qongchen's voice echoed directly in his mind, calm but firm. Yuan, go to Jianxi and he will tell you what you want to know. It seemed that Meng Qongchen was aware of Yu Che's dealings with Meng Jianxi. This was hardly surprising. After all, he was the god who ruled over the Dreamweaver Kingdom of God. With another bow to the father, Yu Che simply replied, yes, before turning and flying toward where the rest of the group was located. As he ascended, his thoughts swirled. It wasn't long before Yu Che's sharp eyes spotted Meng Jianxi waiting among the gathering. The latter's expression was grim, his usually composed demeanor showing visible cracks. Yu Che's gaze hardened slightly as he adjusted his approach, his mind already racing through possibilities. As Yu Che descended, Meng Jiangxi's eyes snapped toward him, recognition lighting up his face. Relief mingled with tension as he called out, Brother Yuan, you're here. His figure blurred as he flew forward to meet Yu Che, his movements hurried and unsteady. What's happened? Yu Che asked, his tone steady but edged with curiosity. Despite his calm exterior, he could tell from Meng Jiangxi's flustered appearance that something significant had happened. Meng Jianxi hesitated for a moment, as though gathering his thoughts. His voice trembled as he finally spoke. While you were away, the people of Eternal Night have arrived. Have you seen their divine daughter? Yu Che asked immediately, his tone firm and focused. He knew nothing about the Eternal Night Kingdom of God, and the mention of their arrival had ignited his curiosity. He needed to know more and quickly. Yes, Meng Jianxi replied after a brief pause, his voice slightly unsteady. Although I wasn't able to see her face because she was wearing a veil to cover it, I can tell that she's a heavenly beauty. Meng Jianxi said, his voice gradually steadying as he recounted everything he knew about the divine daughter of the Eternal Night Kingdom of God. Yu Che listened quietly, not interrupting. Every piece of information was crucial to him. After all, he already had plans in motion for many of the divine kingdoms, but with nothing yet for Eternal Night, every detail was invaluable. His sharp gaze remained fixed on Meng Jianxi, ensuring that not a single word was missed. Uddharan Chinna ... And not only that, but it seems our intelligence wasn't wrong, Meng Jianxi said, his voice dropping to a near whisper as though the very words carried immense weight. Lord God Father confirmed it himself, he added, his tone solemn. Vismayadibodhak chinha, Vismayadibodhak chinha, Vismayadibodhak chinha, Vismayadibodhak chinha. Yu Che's brow shot up, his sharp gaze locking onto Meng Jianxi. You don't mean. His words trailed off as his mind raced, piecing together the earlier fragments of information about the eternal night kingdom of God. His usually calm demeanor cracked, betraying a flicker of genuine astonishment. She's at the 6th level of the divine extinction realm, Meng Jianxi declared, the words carrying a force that seemed to ripple through the air. Vismayadibodhak chinha, 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 Vismayadibodhak chinha. Yu Che's eyebrows shot up even more as his eyes widened, his mind racing as countless thoughts flashed through his head. For a moment, his breathing quickened, but he soon forced himself to steady it, regaining his composure. After a brief pause, he spoke, his tone measured but laced with curiosity. Even if she's at the 6th level of the divine extinction realm, she should be thousands of years old, right? Yu Che asked, his sharp gaze fixed on Meng Jianxi. As far as Yu Che knew, reaching such a realm required not just talent but time, an immense amount of time. Dian Jueji, one of, if not the most renowned geniuses across the abyss, had been considered the pinnacle of talent in this era. Even so, after several thousand years, he had only managed to reach the 8th level of the divine extinction realm. If the Eternal Night Kingdom's divine daughter had truly reached the 6th level, logic dictated she must also be thousands of years old. Even if she only became divine daughter not too long ago, her actual age should be far greater than that. No, Meng Jianxi said, shaking his head with a serious expression. Lord God Father himself confirmed it, she's definitely under 100 years old. Although life aura in the abyss is quite unreliable, but for true God, it was not the same. Not many things can escape the gaze of the God, so their words have more weight than other. His answer was nothing short of shocking. Yu Che's eyes narrowed as he processed the revelation. Under 100 years old. The concept was almost inconceivable. The divine extinction realm was a pinnacle of power. A realm so distant that countless cultivators devoted their entire lives to pursuing it, only to fall short. For someone to reach the 6th level of the divine extinction realm at such a young age defied all logic. Hua Kelly, the divine daughter of the Heaven Breaker Kingdom of God, had already shaken the abyss when she broke into the divine extinction realm at just 19 years old. Her achievement was hailed as a once-in-a-generation miracle, one that set her apart even among the divine daughters and sons. But even with her monstrous talent, progressing further would take her decades, perhaps centuries. Each level in the divine extinction realm was akin to scaling the heavens themselves, the difficulty growing exponentially with every step. For the Eternal Night Divine Daughter to have reached the 6th level at such a young age, it was something beyond comprehension. To think such a monster exists, one just like you, aren't it? A soft, ethereal voice echoed in Yu Che's mind. It was Li Suo, her tone calm yet tinged with subtle amusement. Indeed, Yu Che responded inwardly, his thoughts racing. His outward expression, however, mirrored Meng Jiangxi's grim demeanor, though his mind was already churning through countless possibilities, adjusting plans and devising contingencies. After a moment of heavy silence, Yu Che let out a soft sigh, as though releasing the weight of his thoughts. Slowly, he reached out and rested a reassuring hand on Meng Jiangxi's shoulder. Do your best, Jianxi, Yu Che said plainly, his tone calm but carrying an unmistakable finality. Without waiting for a response, he turned and began to walk away, his figure exuding an air of quiet authority. Meng Jianxi remained frozen in place. Yu Che's words were simple, yet the weight they carried left him stunned. Brother Yuan, you are the true divine son, Meng Jianxi called out, his voice trembling with emotion. But Yu Che paid him no mind, his expression unreadable as he turned a deaf ear and vanished into the distance, leaving Meng Jianxi standing alone, his words hanging in the air. Chapter 2122, Soul Trembled. Yu Che, who had gone some distance away, did not leave the vicinity of the Dreamweaver area. Instead, after carefully readjusting his plans in his mind, tweaking and refining them again and again, he turned back and made his way to see his father. His face was heavy with thought as he approached Meng Qongchen. With a respectful bow, Yu Che addressed the man in front of him, his tone steady but laced with curiosity. Divine Regent, is what Jianxi said true? Meng Qongchen replied with a solemn nod, his expression serious. His gaze lingered on Yu Che. When Meng Qongchen had first arrived here, his intention had been to discuss his son and bask in a moment of pride. After all, Meng Jianyun, his son who had spent hundreds of years wandering the realms, had returned and his brilliance shone even brighter than before. Meng Qongchen had been filled with joy, his heart swelling with pride at his son's achievements. Not only that, but his old friend Hua Fachen's daughter was deeply in love with Jianyun, a fact that brought him even more satisfaction. To see his son so admired and his life aligning so perfectly had been a source of endless pride for the ruler of the Dreamweaver Kingdom. When the group from the Eternal Night Kingdom arrived, Meng Qongchen's joyous mood shifted to sour. Meng Qongchen felt a faint sense of pity not only for the men back in the Eternal Night Kingdom, who were reduced to a status lower than slaves, but also for the women who now accompanied the lightless Divine Regent. Their expressions were cold, as if they carried the weight of an unspoken burden. The lightless Divine Regent herself stood at the forefront, her presence commanding yet devoid of warmth. She didn't spare a glance for anyone, not even the other Divine Regents gathered. It wasn't arrogance, it was something deeper in indifference born from a hatred so profound it radiated from her like a quiet storm. Meng Qongchen didn't try to understand her, he merely observed, uneasy yet unwilling to intervene in what wasn't his matter to judge. Among the group of women, both Meng Qongchen and Hua Fachen noticed the Eternal Night Kingdom's divine daughter. Though her face was hidden behind a delicate veil, it did little to obscure her from their divine perception. After all, they were gods, and no mere veil could conceal her true presence from their eyes. What they saw left them momentarily stunned. Her beauty was heavenly, otherworldly, so much so that even they, accustomed to the splendor of divine beings, couldn't help but be captivated. However, what truly shocked them wasn't just her unparalleled appearance but the unmistakable strength of her cultivation and the vibrant aura of youth surrounding her. She's definitely less than 100 years old, Hua Fachen thought, his mind racing to comprehend what he was sensing. Meng Qongchen's thoughts mirrored his. Monster, a complete monster. The words echoed in both their minds, unspoken but inescapable. Reaching such a level of cultivation within such a short lifespan was beyond reason, defying even the loftiest expectations for divine sons and daughters. Even more than her beauty and cultivation, it was the aura emanating from her body that left Meng Qongchen and Hua Fachen utterly stunned. Though neither had encountered it before, they recognized it immediately, the nine profound exquisite body. The realization struck them like a thunderclap, instantly dimming their earlier joyous mood. For all their pride in their own children, this revelation cast a shadow over their accomplishments. One of them had a daughter whose beauty was renowned throughout the abyss, celebrated as a peerless gem among the divine daughters. Yet, when compared to the Eternal Night's divine daughter, her radiance seemed dim not only in cultivation but even in beauty. The only aspect where his daughter surpassed her was in possessing the perfect divine essence. But even that edge felt insignificant, for the nine profound exquisite body was equivalent to having the perfect divine essence and perhaps even more. The other had a son who also bore the perfect divine essence, a rare and celebrated gift among the divine sons and daughters. Yet the nine profound exquisite body was an existence that stood on the same level, if not higher. It was a physique that transcended ordinary comparisons. But the divine daughter of Eternal Night was not merely extraordinary, she was a singularity. She possessed everything: the nine profound exquisite body, her otherworldly beauty, and her overwhelming cultivation power combined to create a presence so profound that even gods could not help but feel overshadowed by it. She wasn't just exceptional, she was incomparable, standing far above even the most brilliant stars of the abyss. Contents. For the lightless divine regent to so decisively discard the previous divine daughter upon discovering Shen Wui, they now finally understood the reason. How can Eternal Night be this lucky? Both Meng Qongchen and Hua Fachen shared the same incredulous thought as they watched the group from the Eternal Night Kingdom fade into the distance. The realization weighed heavily on them. What kind of destiny allowed a kingdom to possess such a monstrous talent? As for the other members of their groups, they couldn't perceive what their gods had seen. Yet even without understanding the full extent of her power, the divine daughter's aura alone was enough to suppress them entirely. It was as if the weight of her presence crushed their will, leaving them unable to raise their heads. Far in the distance, the group from the boundless divine kingdom also observed the eternal night kingdom's procession. Among them, Dian Juji stood silently, his usually composed demeanor shattered, but it not because of the eternal night, as his mind have no place for that. His eyes trembled, betraying the turmoil within him. Since his return, he had not spoken a single word, and his silence unsettled those around him. He had said nothing of what he had seen to his godfather, and he had strictly forbidden his brother from mentioning it either. Whatever Dian Juji had witnessed had shaken him to the core, leaving him struggling to come to terms with the terrifying reality. In another corner of the Pure Land, a gathering of the Star Moon Kingdom of God's people stood in tense silence. The atmosphere was heavy, the weight of recent revelations pressing down on them. To think she's really at the 6th level of the divine extinction realm. The star god's divine soul exhaled sharply, disbelief etched across his face. Beside him, the moon god's divine soul looked equally dejected. Both had only recently broken through to the 4th level of the divine extinction realm, an achievement they had celebrated not long ago. With their combined might, they could confidently stand against those at the 5th level. But a 6th level opponent. That was a different story altogether. The idea of victory against such a foe felt like a distant dream, one far beyond their grasp. The divine sons exchanged a brief glance, their shared frustration unspoken yet palpable. Nearby, Pan Buvang stood apart, his expression dark and brooding. His mind churned with conflicting emotions, but one burned brighter than the rest: hatred. His loathing for the lifeless divine regent and the eternal night divine daughter was like an abyss consuming his heart. Even with his unparalleled mastery over darkness' profound energy, a level that even his father could only dream of achieving, the darkness of hatred within him was something he could not entirely suppress. It took everything he had to restrain his overwhelming rage, his clenched fists trembling faintly at his sides. "Wooking, wait for me," he thought silently, the words echoing in his mind like a vow carved into his very soul. Soon, the final participants of the Pure Land meeting arrived, the ancestral Dragon God clan. However, their arrival caused little more than a passing glance from the other groups. No murmurs of intrigue, no awe-filled gazes followed them. After all, the Dragon clan had always been at the bottom of the rankings, and no one expected this year to be any different. Everyone present was well aware of the glaring weakness that plagued the clan's chances. Their young lord had yet to even step into the divine extinction realm. In a gathering where power and cultivation defined status, this fact alone rendered their presence little more than a formality. As the Dragon clan's procession settled into place, the air around them was heavy with quiet resignation. Their lack of impact was a stark contrast to the earlier arrivals, whose mere presence had shaken the gathering. Here, there was no ripple, no spark, only the unspoken understanding that the ancestral Dragon God clan's fate in this meeting was already sealed. "So, what do you think, Yuan?" Meng Qingchen asked, his gaze steady as he studied Yu Che. He knew Yu Che wasn't here to participate in the Pure Land meeting, only to spectate. Still, as the future god of the dream-weaving kingdom and the bearer of the perfect divine essence, Yu Che was destined for greatness. Meng Qingchen had long believed that Yu Che and Hua Keli would one day stand as the strongest gods of their era. Yet now, there was another arrival, a threat in the form of the divine daughter of eternal night. Yu Che paused thoughtfully before answering, his expression calm and composed. "I am ultimately only a spectator," he said. "I am ashamed to admit that my cultivation is still low, and perhaps spectating is best for now." His words were measured, revealing nothing of the intricate plans already in motion within his mind. Thus far, everything had progressed according to his design, even if a few adjustments were necessary along the way. For Yu Che, the Pure Land meeting wasn't about bringing glory to the Dreamweaver kingdom. He was an outsider. After all, matters of honor and prestige held no personal significance for him. Still, appearances had to be maintained. With a gleam in his eyes, he added, "I may be unqualified to stand as an equal among the divine sons and divine daughters of other kingdoms for now, but it won't be long before that changes." As he spoke, determination flickered across his face, his gaze locking firmly with Meng Qingchen's. The resolute energy in Yu Che's expression seemed to reassure the divine regent, even if the true depth of his intentions remained concealed beneath the surface. That's the spirit. Ha ha ha. Meng Qionchen laughed heartily, his voice ringing with pride. His son, who had only recently returned, had already broken through to the fourth rank of the Divine Master realm. And now, with a single glance, Meng Qionchen could tell that Yu Che was on the cusp of another breakthrough. He was certain that it would only take a few decades at most for Yu Che to ascend into the Divine Extinction realm. After that, with the powerful abyss stones left by his master, breaking through to the Divine Limit realm would be a matter of time, a short time at that. The thought filled Meng Qionchen with satisfaction. With this in mind, he raised his hand and laid multiple sound barriers around them, fortifying the already dense protections surrounding the area. So, Yuan, Meng Qionchen said, his eyes lighting up with a mischievous glint as he turned his gaze to Yu Che, a knowing smile spreading across his face. Yes, Divine Regent, Yu Che replied, his senses immediately sharpening. The tension in his body rose as he noticed the intricate formations surrounding them. He braced himself, awaiting whatever serious matter the god was about to bring up. After all this is over, Meng Qianchen's tone shifted to one of teasing, his smile widening. Consider giving your father a grandchild, would you? Uddharan chin ... Uddharan chin. Yu Che froze, stunned into silence. His usually sharp mind failed to process the abrupt shift in conversation. His fingers twitched slightly, and after a long pause, he managed to force a wary smile. Meng Qionchen chuckled at his reaction, clearly amused. Memories of Hua Fachen's past objections flickered in his mind. Back then, Hua Fachen had been openly displeased when Meng Qionchen had gifted Yu Che several beautiful servants, accusing him of doing so solely to expand the Meng clan's lineage. And, well, Hua Fachen hadn't been wrong. Meng Qionchen had hoped Yu Che would one day fulfill that wish. But seeing how Yu Che had eyes only for Hua Keli, Meng Qionchen knew there was little point in pressing the matter, at least for now. The real purpose of their journey to the Pure Land meeting revolved around far more important matters. Still, Meng Qionchen couldn't resist teasing Yu Che about it. He silently hoped that once everything was settled, his beloved son would finally grant him the joy of grandchildren. Yu Che, however, could only maintain his strained smile, his mind caught between exasperation and helpless amusement. Seeing that Yu Che remained silent, Meng Qionchen chose not to press further. Instead, he returned to his usual composed self and said, since all the participating kingdoms and the ancestral dragon clan have arrived, the summons should happen soon. Be prepared, Yuan. With that, Meng Qionchen dispelled the sound barriers surrounding them just as Meng Jianxi entered the room. Lord Godfather, this child has heard your summons, Meng Jianxi said respectfully as he knelt beside Yu Che. He had been waiting outside for some time, unable to enter due to the powerful formations and barriers the god had erected. The moment they were dispelled, he wasted no time stepping in. Jianxi, have you finished preparing? Meng Qionchen asked, his gaze softening as it fell upon both of his sons. There had been small disputes between them in the past, but those days were long gone. Now, seeing how Jianxi diligently supported Yu Che at every turn, Meng Qionchen felt a deep sense of pride and relief. His heart swelled with satisfaction as he observed his sons standing together, united. The thought even crossed his mind to one day pass his power and position to Yu Che once he had grandchildren. But that was a matter for the future far from now. Meng Jianxi nodded earnestly. Yes, Lord Godfather. I have ensured everything is in order, he said with conviction, his tone carrying both respect and determination. Meng Qianchen's expression softened further. Good, very good, he said. This time, even though we may not have a chance at first or second place, you should still be able to secure third place in this Pure Land meeting. Show them the might of our Dreamweaver kingdom, Meng Qionchen declared, his voice filled with firm encouragement. Yes, Meng Jianxi replied with absolute confidence, his posture straight and determined. Do your best, Jianxi, Yu Che added from beside him, his tone light yet sincere. However, Meng Jiangxi's lips twitched involuntarily at Yu Che's words. Deep down, he had already come to terms with the fact that he would always be beneath Yu Che. There was no use dwelling on it, he had accepted it as an unchangeable reality. Lord Godfather, the first position should go to Brother Juji, right? Meng Jianxi asked, breaking the momentary silence. In his mind, there was no other possible outcome. The divine daughter of eternal night was undeniably terrifying, but her cultivation was only at the 6th level of the divine extinction realm. Dian Zhuji, on the other hand, was rumored to have broken through to the 8th level of the divine extinction realm. Adding to that, his divine vein of great rage gave him overwhelming combat prowess. It was hard to imagine the divine daughter of eternal night being able to compete against such an opponent. That indeed should be the only outcome. Meng Qingchen nodded as he answered, but then he thought of something and said, but this time around, it might not be the case, he added. Vismayadibodhak chinha Vismayadibodhak chinha Vismayadibodhak chinha Vismayadibodhak chinha Vismayadibodhak chinha Vismayadibodhak chinha. His words sent a jolt through both Yu Che and Meng Jianxi, their reactions immediate. Yu Che's eyes narrowed, and Meng Jiang's eyes face twisted in confusion. Why, Lord Godfather? Meng Jianxi asked earnestly, his tone tinged with disbelief. In his mind, it simply wasn't possible. How could Dian Zhuji, with his overwhelming power, not claim the top position? Meng Qingchen's gaze sharpened, his voice low and deliberate as he asked, have you ever heard of the 9 profound exquisite body? The very name sent shockwaves through the room. Yu Che's heart pounded violently, his mind roaring as though struck by thunder. His thoughts churned in chaos, the implications crashing into him like a tidal wave. Beside him, Meng Jianxi froze, his expression a mix of shock and awe. He, too, understood what the 9 profound exquisite body meant in the context of the kingdoms of gods. Meng Jiang's voice was barely above a whisper as he processed the revelation. The 9 profound exquisite body. It's not just a rare physique, it's the ultimate vessel of power. A perfect dual cultivation partner, and if someone with this body inherits the power of a god, their lifespan and strength increase exponentially. It's the perfect vessel. Exactly, Meng Qingchen confirmed, his tone grave. And Shen Wui, the divine daughter of eternal night, possesses that very body. For a moment, the room was steeped in silence. Yu Che, standing beside Meng Jianxi, trembled not just physically but within his very soul. His mind, body, and spirit were in utter turmoil, as though chaos itself had descended upon him. Chapter 2123, Meeting Part 1. The 9 profound exquisite body isn't just a perfect vessel for God power, Meng Qingchen continued, his voice grave. It also amplifies the innate power of the one who possesses it. This means it's more than likely that Shen Wui can challenge, or even surpass those ranked above her. Meng Jianxi listened attentively, his expression growing increasingly serious as his godfather explained. Every word carried immense weight, painting a clearer picture of the threat posed by the eternal night divine daughter. But for Yu Che, it was a completely different matter. His thoughts spiraled into chaos, each revelation striking him like a hammer against fragile glass. Less than 100 years old, only becoming the divine daughter of eternal night 20 years ago, the black tide of time, 2 years, the 9 profound exquisite body. One thought after another surged through Yu Che's mind, threatening to shatter his composure. Fragments of information he had collected over the years about Shen Wui began to piece themselves together, forming a picture that he was almost afraid to comprehend. The more he thought, the more the connection solidified, and the weight of it all bore down on him like an insurmountable storm. His breathing grew uneven as he fought to contain the turmoil within him. Yet no matter how much he tried to focus, the fragments in his mind only came together faster, each revelation sharper and more devastating than the last. Yu Che's heart was in utter chaos, a storm raging within him that seemed impossible to quell. His trembling body was hard to ignore, drawing the concerned gazes of both Meng Jianxi, who stood by his side, and Meng Qingchen. Yet, even under their scrutiny, Yu Che remained oblivious, his heart and soul too consumed by the torrent of emotions to notice anything around him. Flashes of memories, every meeting, every encounter, every moment connected to sheer Qingyu flooded his mind in an uncontrollable cascade. His breathing grew ragged, his chest heaving as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place against his will. No matter how desperately he tried to push them back, thoughts surged forward like an unstoppable tide. Qingyu, you are alive, aren't you? The words screamed in his mind, raw and unrelenting. It's here, isn't it? It's you, it's here, right? For the second time since he had arrived in the abyss, everything within him descended into chaos. The first was when he had met his and Shen Zai's daughter, a moment that had shaken him to his core. But now, the possibility that Shen Wui, the divine daughter of eternal night, could truly be Xia Qingyu sent his very being spiraling into turmoil. Brother Yuan, Meng Jiangzai's voice broke through the haze, tinged with confusion and worry as he watched Yu Che's trembling figure. Yuan, Meng Qingchen's voice followed, firmer but equally laced with concern. Yu Che's chaotic mind suddenly felt a surge of divine power flowing into his body, soothing his trembling soul and grounding him in the present. The storm within him began to subside as the overwhelming chaos gave way to clarity. Slowly, Yu Che turned around, his gaze landing on Meng Jianxi, who looked deeply worried. But what truly stunned Yu Che was Meng Qingchen, the divine regent who had previously been seated on his throne, now kneeling beside him. The god's hands glowed faintly as he channeled his immense soul power into Yu Che, stabilizing his chaotic mind and soul with deliberate precision. "This junior thanks senior divine regent for your assistance," Yu Che said, bowing slightly as he regained his composure. His voice was calm, but a flicker of warmth passed through his heart at the gesture. For a brief moment, that warmth lingered, yet just as quickly as it came, Yu Che dismissed it. His expression returned to its usual calm, his thoughts refocusing as he pushed aside any unnecessary emotions. "What happened, Yuan?" Meng Qingchen asked, his face etched with worry. Yu Che had always been calm and composed, his demeanor unshaken by anything so far. But the moment he heard about Shen Wui possessing the nine profound exquisite body, Yu Che had been trembling non-stop, his soul in such disarray that Meng Qingchen's power had entered his body with ease. Yu Che hesitated as his mind began to race. He knew his reaction had been far from normal. If he couldn't provide a convincing explanation, it might draw suspicion not just from Meng Qingchen but possibly from others as well. Contents. After carefully collecting his thoughts, Yu Che finally said, "I used to know someone with the nine profound exquisite body in the past." Dark. His tone was steady, but his words carried a weight of emotion that he couldn't entirely hide. It was the best explanation he could muster under the circumstances, one that offered just enough truth to be believable while concealing the full depth of his turmoil. Setting. Yu Che's answer shocked both Meng Jianxi and Meng Qingchen. "No wonder you were so shaken," Meng Qingchen murmured, his expression softening as he pieced together Yu Che's reaction. After a brief pause, he asked, "Yuan, since you used to know her, does that mean she's no longer with you?" Yu Che nodded slowly, his gaze lowering slightly before he spoke. "I owe her a great debt from the past, and many years ago, she disappeared without a trace. I just wanted to repay her, that's all." His voice was calm, but the weight of his words lingered in the air. What Yu Che said was true. Xia Qingyu had done more for him than he could ever repay. The debt of love and sacrifice she had given him was immeasurable, something that haunted him even now. No matter how much time passed, that debt remained an unhealed scar on his soul, one he knew he could never truly repay. Meng Qingchen studied Yu Che for a moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he gave a slow nod, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. "So, with the Eternal Night Divine Daughter possessing the same physique, I thought perhaps she might be her," Yu Che added, his voice steady yet laced with emotion. He was about to follow up with more explanations when suddenly, a voice filled with absolute power and unyielding command rang across the Pure Land. The sheer might in those simple words was undeniable, a force that even the gods could not defy. "Since everyone is here, come." The voice was gentle, yet it rang across the world. The words reverberated through the very fabric of existence, carrying a pressure that shook the soul. For Yu Che and everyone else present, the world seemed to spin violently. A moment ago, they were still in their respective independent spaces within their profound arcs, isolated and secure. Yet now, in an instant, they had all been brought together, gathered in one place without so much as a warning. The abrupt shift left Yu Che momentarily disoriented, his sharp mind quickly assessing the new surroundings. Around him, he could sense the presence of countless people. The air was thick with tension, anticipation, and an undeniable sense of awe at the force that had summoned them. It wasn't just Yu Che, Meng Qingchen, and the dream-weaving kingdom's people who had been transported gods, divine sons and daughters, and countless others from various kingdoms, along with the ancestral dragon god clan, were also present. The sheer scale of the gathering was overwhelming. उद्धरण चिन्ह विस्मयादिबोधक 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 चिन्ह उद्धरण चिन्ह. Yu Che's heart leaped in his chest, a jolt of alarm surging through him as his mind raced in extreme alertness. What kind of power is this? The ability to instantly teleport everyone, even those of the true god level, without resistance. This was beyond anything he had ever encountered. This power doesn't belong to a true god, it's something far greater. Cold sweat ran down his back as the magnitude of the situation dawned on him. Without hesitation, Yu Che suppressed his aura to the absolute minimum, concealing his presence as much as he could. His sharp eyes darted around the unfamiliar surroundings, taking in the vast assembly of divine beings and extraordinary cultivators. The oppressive energy in the air was suffocating, a testament to the terrifying might of the force that had summoned them. Before them lay a vast hall filled with an ancient aura, its grandeur radiating an oppressive yet awe-inspiring presence. The air seemed thick with the weight of countless years, and every stone and pillar exuded a sense of profound history. Sitting at the center of the hall were four figures. Yu Che's eyes immediately landed on one of them, a man he recognized. It was none other than High Priest Luisio, known as Six Laughs. Unlike his previously disheveled appearance, with his unkempt attire and dirt-streaked face, the man now stood clean, calm, and composed. The transformation was striking. The difference was like night and day, or rather, heaven and earth. Beside High Priest Luisio was an elderly woman dressed in flowing white robes. She radiated a gentle and serene presence, though her pale complexion and sickly expression betrayed a fragile state. Yet, as every second passed, her vitality seemed to visibly improve, her pallor fading, her posture straightening, and a subtle glow returning to her skin. When her gaze fell upon the people of the dream-weaving kingdom, she offered them a faint, kind smile, her presence exuding a quiet reassurance. High Priest Ling Xian. The name surfaced instantly in Yu Che's mind as he recognized the unmistakable aura emanating from her. It was the primordial flame crystal. She has used it. Aside from her, there were two others. Although Yu Che had never met them before, their identities required no introduction. The sheer weight of their presence revealed everything. They were High Priest Wan Dao, known as Myriad Ways, and Chief Priest Big Rage. Their names alone carried a legacy of awe and reverence throughout the abyss. Yu Che's heart tightened as he stood before them. It had been some time since he had come into direct contact with the gods of the abyss, and the overwhelming difference in their aura struck him like a tidal wave. If the aura of the ordinary gods he had encountered before was vast like an ocean, then the power radiating from these beings, especially Chief Priest, was as boundless as the entire world itself. The disparity was so immense it felt insurmountable. How can the difference between gods be this vast? Yu Che thought, his mind trembling as he struggled to comprehend the unfathomable gap. His usually composed demeanor faltered for a moment, the oppressive energy of the hall pressing down on him like a mountain. We greet the mighty high priests. The seven gods and the head of the ancestral dragon clan bowed lightly as they spoke in unison. Their tones were filled with respect and reverence. However, there was one exception, the lightless divine regent. Her head barely dipped, her words cold and indifferent. Still, she bowed, though the motion was minimal. The gods were absolute rulers within their respective kingdoms, their power and authority unmatched. Yet here in the Pure Land, even the combined might of all seven gods would be no match for a single one of the ancient gods standing before them. The gap between them was an unbridgeable chasm. Of course, behind their backs, the lightless divine regent would curse them all, including the abyssal monarch. Her hatred was unyielding, and no title or power would ever sway her disdain. Sit. The voice resounded once again, powerful yet gentle, carrying an undeniable authority that left no room for defiance. An irresistible force swept over everyone, pulling them toward the seats arranged around the vast ancient hall where the high priests were already seated. From those with the lowest profound energy to the mighty gods, all were guided effortlessly by this power, their positions arranged as though by design. At the forefront sat the high priests, their presence overwhelming and commanding respect. Behind them were the 7 gods of the 6 divine kingdoms, seated in positions of prominence. Further back sat their co-forces, the younger generation, including the divine sons and daughters, their ranks radiating potential and ambition. The moment Yu Che was gently but irresistibly seated by the overwhelming power, his eyes instinctively drifted toward the Eternal Night Kingdom's direction. Earlier, when they had all been teleported here, the representatives from each kingdom had been scattered, separated by great distances. But now, with everyone gathered in the same hall and the relatively small number of people from each kingdom, he could finally see her. King Yu. Her presence hit him like a thunderclap, sending waves of emotion surging through his heart. No matter how much time had passed, even if she were to conceal every inch of her body, he would never fail to recognize her. They had shared too much years of fighting side by side, clashing against impossible odds, and even standing against each other. The memories were burned into his soul. It didn't matter if her face was veiled or if only her eyes were visible. Those eyes, the same ones that had once gazed at him with a mix of determination and sorrow, could never belong to anyone else. Yu Che's breath caught, and for a moment, the entire world seemed to fade away. Time, space, and reality blurred, leaving only her sheer King Yu. "You are alive." The words echoed silently in his mind, carrying both disbelief and a desperate longing. His fists clenched as he fought to steady himself. He had imagined this moment countless times, but now that it was here, it felt like his soul was being torn apart. His chest tightened with emotions he couldn't afford to feel, not now. But as quickly as he had looked at her, Yu Che forced himself to break away, his gaze snapping back to neutrality. No, now is not the time. He buried the storm of emotions deep within, locking them behind an iron wall of discipline. His greatest enemy was about to arrive, and he couldn't allow himself to falter. His eyes flickered to the front of the hall, where the seating arrangement spoke volumes about the hierarchy of power. At the forefront, beyond even where the high priest sat, one throne stood empty. Its presence loomed over the entire gathering, exuding a pressure that surpassed even the might of the high priests. It was the seat of the abyssal monarch. "How dare you sit here? You dare, you lowly bug. You are a stain on our kingdom." Insult after insult was sent via sound transmission to Pan Buvang. His expression remained neutral, but his aura subtly rippled with suppressed tension. Somehow, when everyone had been teleported into this ancient hall, though Pan Buvang had initially arrived with the people of the Star Moon Divine Kingdom, he had inexplicably been seated among the group from the Owl Butterfly Divine Kingdom. The one hurling the barrage of sound transmissions at him was none other than Pan Bujuo, the current divine son of the Owl Butterfly Divine Kingdom. His words were filled with venom, his anger barely contained. Yet no matter how much bile Pan Bujuo spat at him, Pan Buvang ignored him entirely. His expression was calm, almost indifferent, as if Pan Bujuo's words were nothing more than the buzzing of a distant insect. This only served to infuriate Pan Bujuo further. His face darkened, his aura flaring subtly with hostility. "Are you deaf, Pan Buvang? Do you think you can disgrace us and sit here as if you belong?" Pan Bujuo hissed through another sound transmission, his tone dripping with contempt. But Pan Buvang's eyes remained forward, his body unmoving. Deep inside, the darkness of his profound energy stirred faintly, but he suppressed it. The hatred festering within him ran far deeper than Pan Bujuo's petty insults. His control over himself was ironclad. He had no intention of giving the divine son the satisfaction of a reaction. Enough. The word was spoken lightly, yet it carried the weight of absolute authority. Just ahead of Pan Bujuo, their father, the Chi Heng Divine Regent, had intervened. Sound transmissions between his sons were not something he would normally bother with, but this was no ordinary situation. The Abyssal Monarch had already summoned them here, and there was a time and place for everything. One was a son he had selected as the future ruler of the Owl Butterfly Divine Kingdom, someone he envisioned carrying its legacy. The other was a son he had long discarded, someone he deemed no longer worthy of his attention. There was no question of where his priority lay, but even so, this was not the place for such behavior. As a true god, Chi Heng Divine Regent could hear every word of their conversation without effort. And if he could, so could the other gods and high priests gathered here. His displeasure was evident not only with Pan Bhuvan's unexpected presence but also with Pan Bhujuo's inability to control himself. For all his talents, Pan Bhujuo's behavior here was reckless, undermining the dignity of their kingdom. What irritated Chi Heng divine god even further was the contrast between the two brothers. Despite being the target of constant insults, Pan Bhuvan had not reacted even once. He sat silently, his expression calm, as though Pan Bhujuo's words were nothing more than noise. It was infuriating but also impossible to ignore. This wasn't Pan Bhuvan he used to know, but he won't well into that for now. Alas, Chi Heng divine regent thought, his expression impassive. The difference in their divine essence is not something easily overcome. The truth was undeniable. Pan Bhuvan have 8 divine essence while Pan Bhujuo's divine essence is 9, a flaw that had cemented his decision to cast the elder son aside. Nevertheless, his single command was enough to silence Pan Bhujuo. The divine son stopped his sound transmissions immediately, his head lowering slightly as he clenched his fists in frustration. Chapter 2124, Meeting Part 2. Zhu Shi, your soul has been trembling non-stop. Whatever is on your mind, set it aside for now, came the calm yet firm voice of Dian Zhu Shi's father, the boundless divine regent. The words carried both guidance and subtle admonition, cutting through the turmoil brewing within his soul. Dian Zhu Shi blinked, startled slightly by the reminder. Slowly, he nodded, acknowledging his father's advice. For a long while, his gaze had been fixed on the Heavenbreaker Kingdom's direction, unwavering and filled with unspoken emotions. Yet, the person he was looking at had never once turned back to meet his eyes. Thank you for your reminder, father, he said softly, his tone steady yet weighed with suppressed emotions. With great effort, he finally tore his gaze away, though the lingering heaviness in his heart remained. As he shifted his focus forward, his mind struggled to bury the thoughts that had consumed him. But the faint tension in his posture betrayed that, even now, forgetting was easier said than done. Everyone gathered in the hall harbored their own thoughts. For some, this was a familiar experience, having been here before. For others, it was their first time coming in this ancient and imposing place. Yet, regardless of who they were or what occupied their minds, they quickly dispelled their thoughts, suppressing any distractions. All attention turned forward as they waited patiently for the one who embodied the absolute authority of the abyss. It wasn't long before he arrived. After a short hour. No one saw when or how it happened. There was no sound, no spatial fluctuation. Yet, without warning, a man who appeared no older than 30 suddenly sat in the previously empty seat. His arrival was so seamless it felt as though he had always been there, as though time itself had bent to his will. His facial features were gentle, like the calm flow of spring water, yet his handsomeness was so overwhelming it bordered on terrifying. He looked like an angel descended from heaven, majestic and ethereal, yet his presence was anything but comforting. Despite the beauty of his appearance, his arrival sent a ripple of fear and reverence through every heart in the hall. He neither released power nor spoke a single word, yet the atmosphere changed entirely. The world seemed to hold its breath, ready to bend to his will should he so desire. His presence alone demanded absolute respect, his silence louder than any roar of divine power. Yu Che's gaze fixed on the man, unblinking, as if trying to commit every detail to memory. He looked exactly like the projections recorded millions of years ago. There was no mistaking him. Mosu, the heaven-punishing crown prince, the son of the heaven-punishing creator god Moi. Time had not touched his appearance, but his eyes, those eyes told the story of an eternity. We greet the great ruler of the abyss. The high priests spoke in unison, bowing their heads deeply. Their voices carried an almost sacred reverence. Following their lead, the 7 true gods lowered their heads as well, their absolute submission clear. The rest of the hall, from the mightiest to the weakest, quickly followed, bowing in unison to the man who embodied the very pinnacle of existence. I hope I didn't keep you all waiting, Mosu said with a light smile, his tone calm and unhurried, yet carrying an undeniable weight of authority. His gentle gesture, signaling for everyone to raise their heads, felt like the turning of the heavens, a command so natural that it left no room for hesitation. No, not at all, Grandpa Abyss, Your Majesty, Hua Keli spoke out, her clear voice breaking the silence. She sat behind Hua Fachan and Hua Kangin, her posture relaxed yet respectful. Among the many gathered here, Huakili stood out as one of the few who spoke to the abyssal monarch with familiarity. Her years of living in the Pure Land had given her a unique bond with Mosu. Mosu's gaze shifted to her, his faint smile deepening ever so slightly, as if her bold yet endearing demeanor amused him. "No one would dare blame your majesty," Hua Fachan added, his voice steady and full of reverence, "even if we had to wait day and night or even years. Much less for such a brief moment, your majesty." His words carried an unmistakable sincerity, reflecting the depth of reverence he held for the abyssal monarch. As Hua Fachan spoke, Hua Kingying nodded subtly in agreement, her expression composed. The hall was silent for a moment, the weight of Mosu's presence palpable. He neither spoke nor moved beyond his initial gesture, yet his aura seemed to fill every corner of the vast hall, pressing down on all who were gathered. Though his appearance was serene, there was an undeniable force behind it, a reminder that this man, seemingly gentle and composed, was the absolute ruler of the abyss, a being whose power transcended the comprehension of even true gods. Mosu's gaze swept over the assembly, pausing briefly on each of the key figures present. His faint smile remained, but there was a subtle shift in his eyes, a glimmer of something ancient, as if he were measuring the worth of those before him. Even the gods, beings accustomed to commanding entire kingdoms, felt a subtle tension under his gaze. Beside them, everyone else voiced their agreement in unison, the hum of acknowledgement filling the hall. The chief priest raised his hand, and with that single gesture, the room fell into an expectant silence. All eyes turned forward, waiting for their lord to speak. "All right then, let us cut to the chase and get to the reason why we are here," Mosu said after a brief pause, his voice calm and measured, yet carrying an undeniable weight that demanded attention. The atmosphere grew even heavier as he continued, his gaze sweeping over the assembly. "As many of you may already know, we have successfully sent an expedition team to the Eternal Pure Land, my homeland. Though the gods had long known of the Eternal Pure Land and the expedition's success, the news was still new to most of the gathered people. For some, it was confirmation of what they had only dared to believe. For others, it was the shattering of their doubts. The murmurs that followed were filled with disbelief, awe, and excitement. What? The Eternal Pure Land? It's true, the expedition really succeeded. The reactions of the non-gods rippled through the hall in hushed exclamations and sound transmissions. Even among the younger divine sons and daughters, the disbelief was palpable. The Eternal Pure Land, long thought of by many as a myth or unattainable legend, was now a proven reality, something within reach. Though the gods themselves remained composed, their eyes glimmered with understanding, their expressions betraying the gravity of what lay ahead. The confirmation of this new world was no longer a revelation to them, but it marked the beginning of something far greater, a shift that would reshape the abyss itself. BOOMMM. Roars of disbelief rang out one after another, the sound reverberating through the hall. Voices filled with astonishment and doubt overlapped in a cacophony that quickly grew out of control. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed as the sound of a staff slamming into the ground cut through the chaos. Yet it wasn't just the noise that silenced them, it was the sensation that followed, a tremor that seemed to ripple through their very souls. It was the chief priest who had slammed his staff down, his expression cold and stern. "This is your last warning," he said quietly, his tone sharp as a blade. "When the Lord is speaking, you should only listen." His voice carried no gentleness, only authority, a force that demanded obedience. The hall fell into immediate silence. Even the faintest whisper ceased as everyone turned their attention back to the abyssal monarch. The weight of the chief priest's reprimand lingered in the air, a reminder of the respect demanded in this sacred space. To the gods, the revelation was not entirely new. They had long known that their expedition team had found the spatial tunnel leading to the Eternal Pure Land. Unfortunately, that tunnel had only remained open for a fleeting moment before it closed again. But despite this, the mission had been a success. The coordinates for the Eternal Pure Land were now in their possession. What lay ahead was no longer a question of possibility but of timing. To the younger generation and many others gathered here, this was the first time they had ever heard such news. And for them, as it had been for the gods when they first learned of it, this revelation was world-shaking. It was a truth so profound that it had the power to overturn their understanding of existence itself, a truth that could redefine the world they knew. How long had it been? How many millions of years had their grand ancestors spoken of a world beyond the abyss? A place untouched by the suffocating reach of abyss dust, a paradise that existed only in the fragments of ancient legends and the dreams of those long gone. How many generations had come and gone, living and dying without ever seeing that dreamlike place? An eternal pure land, a world of serenity and perfection. A world where abyss dust did not exist, where the air was pure, where children could run and laugh freely beneath unblemished skies. A world of eternal peace, where the endless struggle for survival was but a distant memory. It was the stuff of myths, stories told by hopeful voices that seemed too idealistic to be true. And now, here it was confirmed to exist, no longer a fleeting dream but a tangible reality. The weight of it bore down on them, shaking even the most composed among them. Yet, as much as they wanted to express their astonishment, disbelief, or joy, they couldn't. Seated before the ruler of the abyss, they were compelled to maintain absolute composure. Any outward reaction, no matter how small, would be inappropriate in his presence. Every emotion, every tremor of excitement, had to be buried deep within. The abyssal monarch remained silent as the chief priest issued his warning, his calm demeanor unshaken. Only a faint smile graced his lips as he resumed speaking. Around 40 years from now, when the power to break through the spatial tunnel has been prepared once more, he said, his voice steady and deliberate, we will journey to the eternal pure land. His tone was as serene as ever, yet the weight of his words reverberated through the hall like thunder. Since the abyssal monarch had appeared, he had spoken little, but every word he uttered carried an impact so profound it shook the very core of those who heard them. For a moment, silence enveloped the room, yet the tension was palpable. 40 years. The timeline was set, and the reality of the journey loomed closer than anyone could have. Contents. Dark. Setting. App. Imagined. Everyone's hearts churned with turmoil, their minds racing to grasp the magnitude of what they had just heard. The eternal pure land, once thought to be nothing more than a distant dream or legend, was now a destination within their reach. 40 years an eternity to some and a fleeting moment to others was all that separated them from stepping into the unknown. They could feel it in the air, the emotions of those around them, a maelstrom of awe, excitement, and trepidation. Bodies trembled as suppressed feelings threatened to spill over. Even the most disciplined among them struggled to keep their composure. Yu Che, standing silently behind the dreamless divine regent, was trembling like everyone else in the hall. But unlike the others, his reaction had nothing to do with excitement or awe. His entire body shook for a far graver reason, one that no one else could understand. 40 years. In just 40 years, his homeworld, his family, friends, and everything he had ever cared about would face annihilation. Only he knew the horrifying truth of what would happen when the people of the abyss reached the eternal pure land. The weakened heavenly laws of that world could not sustain the overwhelming power of those from the abyss. It would be too much. The laws would crumble, and with them, the fragile balance that held the eternal pure land together. Everything would be destroyed. Yu Che's mind raced, his thoughts spiraling into chaos. He clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles turned white, his teeth grinding with such force that the faint sound of it could be heard. Beside him, Meng Jianxi glanced his way, alarmed by the barely restrained tension radiating from him. He could faintly hear the sound of Yu Che's teeth threatening to crack under the pressure. As the flames of excitement and anticipation rose among the gathered assembly, the abyssal monarch's next words extinguished them instantly. Unfortunately, we will not be able to send everyone over 40 years from now, he stated, his tone calm and matter-of-fact. His words struck like a cold bucket of ice, no, like a tsunami crashing down on them. The surge of emotions that had swelled within the room was drowned in an instant, replaced by a stunned silence. The abyssal monarch's pronouncement was absolute, leaving no room for argument or hope. The spatial tunnel that connects our abyss to the world of the eternal pure land requires an immense amount of energy, he continued, his voice steady yet carrying an undeniable weight. Each time we open the passage, it demands the combined strength of all the gods, as well as the power of our strongest spatial artifact. This was no revelation to the gods. They had known this fact long before, understanding the monumental cost of breaching the spatial barrier. But for the younger generation and the others present, it was an eye-opening truth. The realization of the limitations imposed by this colossal undertaking weighed heavily on their minds. The room grew eerily quiet. No murmurs or whispers filled the air as the gravity of the situation sank in. Though the abyssal monarch's tone remained composed, the storm of thoughts in the minds of those gathered was palpable. Questions, doubts, and even fears swirled within their hearts, yet none dared to voice them in his presence. Each time the passage is opened, the abyssal monarch continued, his voice calm yet heavy with truth, it exhausts the full power of our spatial artifact. Even with the combined strength of all the gods, we can only maintain it for a limited time. That is why, with every expedition, no one has returned even if they succeeded in reaching the other world. His words pierced the silence like a blade, their weight bearing down on everyone present. The reality he described was like a trip to heaven, only to be cast into hell. Just moments ago, they had been given the greatest news of their lives, only to have it wrenched away. The eternal pure land, once so tantalizingly close, now seemed farther than ever. If we gods were to enter the spatial tunnel ourselves, the abyssal monarch continued, without anyone maintaining the opening formation, the tunnel might collapse or close immediately. The room grew colder, as if the air itself carried the despair creeping into their hearts. Those gathered had only just begun to dream of stepping into paradise, but now the possibility seemed more like an illusion, the cost too great to fathom. The abyssal monarch's next words deepened their despair. If the passage closes while we are inside, he said, his gaze scanning the crowd, though those above the divine master realm could survive its destructive power, we may not have the strength to overcome the gravitational forces that would drag us down. Yu Che listened quietly, his body trembling ever so slightly. Every word the abyssal monarch spoke was true, undeniably so. He knew this better than anyone. It's easier to enter the abyss than leaving it. When he had first arrived in this world, his power had been only around the level of a peak divine master able to descend successfully. However, heaven's smithing devil emperor, a being on par with the creation gods, she, despite her unparalleled strength, had been wary of the gravitational force that lay within the abyss. If such a force could instill fear in an existence like the devil emperor, what hope was there for these true gods, who were infinitely weaker by comparison? His thoughts spiraled, but he maintained his composure, keeping his turmoil buried within. Your Majesty, if I may, how will we go about it, then? A voice finally broke the silence. It was the boundless divine regent who spoke, his tone steady but filled with respectful curiosity. Perhaps it was the right moment to speak, as the chief priest made no move to silence him. The abyssal monarch's faint smile returned. Of course, there are ways to deal with it, he said, his voice carrying a calm certainty. His words immediately sparked hope in the hearts of those present, like a flicker of light in an otherwise suffocating darkness. But just as quickly as that hope had ignited, his next words dimmed it once more. But it's not time for you all to know yet, he added, his tone as matter of fact as ever. The tension in the hall thickened again, the flicker of hope reduced to an ember. Disappointment rippled through the crowd like an unseen wave, but no one dared to voice their frustration. When the time comes when the next passage opening is upon us, I will tell you then, the abyssal monarch concluded, his words final and absolute. Uddharan chin ... Yu Che's mouth twitched involuntarily. He wasn't sure when it had happened, but High Priest Liu Xiao had quietly stepped forward, placing a delicate teacup before the abyssal monarch and calmly beginning to pour hot tea from a polished pot. Everyone's emotions had been taken on a relentless ride toward Chapter 2125, Meeting Part 3. Everyone waited quietly as the abyssal monarch finished his tea, the tension in the room momentarily easing into a hushed calm. Liu Xiao, your tea-making skill seems to have improved once again, Mo Su remarked, his tone light yet sincere. As expected of the abyss's number one chef, the high priest inclined his head respectfully, accepting the compliment. Thank you, Your Majesty, he replied, his voice steady. Yet, for reasons unknown, his gaze drifted briefly toward the Dreamweaving Kingdoms group. Though subtle, the glance did not go unnoticed before he returned to his seat with an expression that could only be described as faintly sulky. Is it just me, or did the high priest seem a bit sulky when he was looking our way? Meng Kangji, seated beside Meng Qongchen, whispered to his lord. Meng Qongchen furrowed his brows, his expression matching the confusion in his voice. I don't know, he replied, genuinely puzzled. A soft giggle rippled through the quiet from the direction of the Heavenbreaker kingdom, but it was immediately silenced, as though whoever dared to laugh had realized their mistake and clamped down on their mirth. The abyssal monarch set the empty teacup down gently, the sound barely audible but enough to draw all attention back to him. His gaze swept across the room, lingering on the younger generation with a hint of purpose in his eyes. "All right, everyone," Mosu began, his voice calm yet commanding. "Now that that's out of the way, it's time to discuss the other reason why you are all here." Everyone immediately tensed up. While the matter of the eternal Pure Land was something still several decades away, the mere reason the young geniuses were gathered here was entirely different. The true highlight of every Pure Land meeting was about to begin a competition. A grand contest of strength to showcase the might of each kingdom and its most promising talents. It was finally here. Yu Che's mind raced as he thought over the intricate plans he had painstakingly crafted. Yet, no matter how thorough his preparations had been, there was one variable he hadn't accounted for: Xia Qingyu's presence. Her unexpected appearance had thrown everything into disarray, and now he found himself recalculating, adjusting his strategy to accommodate this unforeseen twist. As his gaze shifted across the hall, it stopped momentarily on the ancestral Dragon God Clan's section. His heart clenched painfully at what he saw. Among the crowd, sitting quietly at the back, was someone who made his breath hitch: his ancient Zai's daughter, Yu Shi. She sat in silence, her figure almost blending into the background. Her face, marred by horrific scars that twisted her once beautiful features into something others found difficult to look at. Even among her fellow dragons, no one dared to meet her gaze. She was an outcast among her own kind, her presence ignored, her pain unnoticed. A pang of guilt and sorrow rippled through Yu Che's chest as his fists clenched tightly. His gaze softened, his resolve hardening as he whispered silently to himself, "Wait a little longer, Zaya. I, your father, will heal those scars. I will do whatever it takes to help you and your mother." Even as he listened to the abyssal monarch's words, Yu Che's mind continued to shift, adapt, and refine his plans. He could not afford to falter, not now, not when so much was at stake. Deep within his soul, hidden within the sky poison pearl, Li Suo worked tirelessly. Her light flowed like a gentle stream, purifying Yu Che's chaotic thoughts and soothing the turbulence in his heart. Though no one could detect her efforts, she remained steadfast, ensuring Yu Che's mind remained sharp and clear, even as the storm of emotions threatened to overwhelm him. "It's time for the true Pure Land meeting to begin," the abyssal monarch announced, his voice calm yet carrying a weight that demanded attention. "At every meeting, each divine kingdom is given the opportunity to display its might. While we of the Pure Land may be the leaders of all the kingdoms, we are, at the end of the day, outsiders. For those of you from the divine kingdoms, these competitions foster growth, ambition, and opportunity." His words flowed smoothly, familiar to the gods and older generation who had participated in such meetings when they were divine sons and daughters themselves. Everything he said so far followed the usual script, as it had for countless past meetings. Just like in the many meetings before, this one will follow the same structure, but the single word, "but," spoken by the abyssal monarch, sent a ripple of unease through the room. The gods, in particular, felt a sudden tension. They, more than anyone else, understood the significance of such a deviation. Their faces turned serious, brows furrowing in anticipation. But the unspoken question lingered in everyone's minds, their confusion mirrored in their expressions as they leaned in, waiting for the monarch to continue. "This time," the abyssal monarch said, his voice steady yet carrying a subtle edge, "your kingdom's ranking will determine who will enter the passage first 40 years from now with your god." What? The hall erupted into chaos. Disbelief, shock, and even horror filled the air as the monarch's words sank in. Sending their gods into the spatial tunnel alongside their younger generations might seem like a logical solution. After all, the gods could protect the young talents from harm and ensure their safe arrival. But this idea was fraught with a glaring, fatal flaw: who would maintain the world-piercing formation? The formation required the collective power of all the gods to sustain its delicate balance. It was already a monumental task to keep the spatial tunnel stable during its brief moments of existence. If even a single god were to leave their position, the risk of the tunnel collapsing would rise significantly, threatening to consume everyone inside. The implications were terrifying. For the group that went last, the ones who would be forced to rely on a weakened formation or, worse, a collapsing tunnel, the chances of survival were slim to none. They would almost certainly perish, their lives claimed by the immense gravitational forces and destructive chaos of the unstable spatial passage. Please reconsider your decision, Your Majesty. A voice, so powerful that it vibrated throughout the ancient hall, shattered the silence. The intensity of the sound was overwhelming, and the younger generation felt as though their heads were about to explode. If not for the protective power of their respective gods, some of them might have died outright from the sheer force of the words. The one who had spoken was none other than the leader of the ancestral dragon god clan. His outburst, though normally considered a breach of decorum, drew no fury from the assembly this time. Everyone understood the desperation behind his words. The ancestral dragon god clan, perpetually at the bottom of the rankings, faced a grim fate. If the new rules held, they would be the last to enter the passage to the eternal Pure Land, a scenario that seemed tantamount to a death sentence. Hell, as powerfully as the ancestral dragon are, there isn't even a true god among them. Please reconsider your decision, Your Majesty, another voice rang out, calm yet tinged with urgency. It was Hua Fachin, the heart painter divine regent. His concern was evident. His daughter, Hua Keli, though exceptionally talented, had only recently entered the divine extinction realm. As brilliant as she was, she would not be able to compete against those with high cultivation levels. Please reconsider your decision, Your Majesty. Two more voices echoed through the hall, urgent but measured. This time, it was the Moon Divine Regent and the Star Divine Regent. They refrained from using their profound powers to project their voices, yet their words carried enough weight to resonate throughout the chamber. Their concern was valid. Both of their divine sons had only recently broken through to the fourth level of the divine extinction realm. While their combined strength might be enough to fight against those at the fifth level of divine extinction, individually, their power was far less impressive. Their divine arts required them to fight side by side to maximize their potential. If forced to compete individually, their strength would barely match that of a newly advanced level 4 divine extinction cultivator. The Moon and Star Divine Regents knew the stakes. Their divine sons, no matter how gifted, might not even be able to stand against the divine son of the Owl Butterfly Kingdom or other kingdom, who was also at the same level. The implications of the Abyssal Monarch's declaration were devastating for their kingdoms, their young talents, and the futures they represented. The hall was charged with tension. The pleas of the divine regents, filled with desperation and sincerity, reverberated through the space as all eyes turned once more to the Abyssal Monarch, waiting for his response. One by one, the divine regents voiced their concerns, their words a mixture of urgency and desperation as they attempted to appeal to the Abyssal Monarch. Yet amidst the flurry of protests and pleas, Shen Wuyenye, the lightless divine regent, remained silent. She sat in unshaken composure, her gaze cold and distant. To her, these men's struggles held no significance, none of it was worth her attention. In the end, even the boundless divine regent, Dian Rahu, stepped forward to speak. His voice, steady yet respectful, carried through the tense atmosphere. Your Majesty, although we of the boundless divine kingdom will greatly benefit from your arrangement, we feel that this is highly inappropriate. Skk, a soft yet clear disdain was heard from certain direction. After he finished, Dian Rahu's gaze shifted toward the group representing the Heavenbreaker Kingdom. His intention was clear, his words, though spoken for all, carried a personal undertone. Among the Heavenbreaker group was Hua Keli, the divine daughter who was likely to become his future daughter-in-law. His concerns extended not just to his kingdom's prosperity but to his family's future as well. Protecting his son's future, his kingdom's legacy, and their ties to the Heavenbreaker Kingdom mattered above all else. Dian Rahu's gesture and goodwill were unmistakable, visible to everyone present. His words, while carefully crafted, conveyed a deeper message. Even those who stood to gain the most from the monarch's decision were not without hesitation, considering the far-reaching consequences of the arrangement. Yu Che watched silently as the divine regents and others voiced their opinions one after another. Perhaps it was because of his time in the abyss, where constant scheming had sharpened his mind, that he saw the situation more clearly than most. To him, this was nothing more than a carefully orchestrated feint by the abyssal monarch, a deliberate move to test the waters and elicit reactions from everyone present. "All right, I hear you all," the abyssal monarch finally said, his voice calm and composed. With a casual wave of his hand, the overwhelming pressure in the room shifted, and everyone was instantly seated once more. The abruptness of the gesture was enough to silence even the most outspoken individuals. "Since everyone seems to believe that my initial arrangement is inappropriate," the abyssal monarch continued, his lips curling into a faint smile, "then how about this?" The tension in the hall thickened. Every gaze locked on him, awaiting his next words. "All the gods will remain behind," he said, his tone light yet carrying the weight of finality. "Only the people you choose, your younger generation, will enter the passage first. Then, at the next passage opening, a century from now, the kingdom's gods shall follow." The words were spoken with such ease, yet the implications landed like a thunderclap. His smile lingered as his gaze swept across the room, observing the ripple of reactions. For a moment, the hall was filled with stunned silence as the meaning of his declaration sank in. Yu Che's eyes narrowed as he processed the abyssal monarch's new proposal. The monarch's smile wasn't one of concession, it was the smile of someone in complete control, someone who had already anticipated every response and played his hand accordingly. To Yu Che, it was clear, this was no compromise, but a masterstroke of manipulation. Especially the term kingdom's gods, there are deeper meaning to that. Content. Sending the younger generation first would mean that the gods would have to remain in the abyss for another 50 years after the next passage opened. To the gods, a century was but a fleeting moment, yet none among them were fools. They had long sensed the truth that none dared to openly speak. The time wheel of the abyss was spiraling out of control, and the collapse of their world was drawing closer with every passing year. Sending the younger ones ahead would ensure the safety of the next generation, their future, their legacy. But what about the gods themselves? What about their survival? The unspoken question echoed in every heart. Who among them wanted to be left behind to die? The urge to object surged through them like a tidal wave. Their mouths opened, and their auras rippled with protest. Yet, before any of them could voice their dissent, an invisible force rooted their bodies to the floor. The weight of the abyssal monarchs will bore down upon them like a mountain. He had yielded to their pleas once, he would not do so again. The gods froze in stunned silence, their defiance snuffed out before it could take form. The abyssal monarch's intentions were clear. This was not merely a decree but an act of grace. By ensuring the younger generations escape to the eternal Pure Land, he was offering them a chance at a future. Any protest would not only defy him but would also make them seem selfish and short-sighted, prioritizing their own lives over their kingdom's legacies. "Then we will agree to your arrangement, Your Majesty," one of the gods finally said, their voice tinged with resignation. One by one, the others echoed the sentiment, each word carrying the weight of their reluctant acceptance. The reality of their predicament settled heavily in the air, like an unspoken pact. "Father," Hua Kelly's soft voice broke the tense silence as she noticed the pallor on her father's face. The meaning behind the abyssal monarch's words escaped her, and seeing her father's uncharacteristic unease left her confused. She turned to her aunt for answers, her gaze filled with uncertainty. Beside her, Sword Fairy Hua Kingling shook her head slightly, her expression calm but her eyes heavy with unspoken thoughts. It was clear she understood, but whatever knowledge she possessed, she chose not to share, at least, not here. Before Hua Kelly could press further, the voice of the chief priest cut through the air, redirecting everyone's attention. "Still, with the limited time the passage remains open, we should limit the number of people allowed to enter. This would ensure all kingdoms have an opportunity to send their young ones, Your Majesty." The hall fell into silence once more as all eyes turned toward the abyssal monarch, their attention fully drawn to him. The chief priest's suggestion, though reasonable, carried immense implications, and everyone waited with bated breath for the monarch's response. "You're right," the abyssal monarch said after a moment, his voice calm but resolute. "That is why I am planning to propose that, based on the rankings of this meeting, each kingdom will be allocated a different number of spots to enter the eternal Pure Land passage." His words settled over the hall like a storm cloud. What had already been a competition to showcase strength and prestige had now escalated into something far greater. The rankings of this meeting would no longer just determine honor, they would directly dictate the futures of their kingdoms and their younger generations. The monarch's words immediately made everyone tense, the weight of his declaration pressing down on the hall like an invisible force. Yet, despite their unease, there was a collective sense of relief. This new arrangement, while still daunting, was far more acceptable than the original proposition. "How shall that be done, Your Majesty?" several of the divine regents asked in unison, their voices laced with urgency and curiosity. The abyssal monarch's gaze swept across the hall, his expression calm and authoritative. "Every time the passage is opened," he began, his voice steady, "we have sent in around 50 teams of abyssal knights, each accompanied by their squires. Each team typically consists of 1 knight and 5 squires, making it a total of approximately 300 individuals entering before the power of the spatial artifact is fully exhausted." Everyone, already on edge, felt their hearts lurch as though they might leap out of their chests. The tension in the hall grew so thick it was suffocating. "If all the gods, the priests, and I myself go all out, we may be able to open the passage. Long enough for 500 people to enter," the abyssal monarch declared, his voice calm yet carrying an undeniable finality. His words sent a wave of horror rippling through the room. 500 people. The number echoed in their minds like a cruel joke. In a gathering of divine kingdoms, each with countless young talents and elites vying for supremacy, 500 was nothing. The realization sank in, heavier than any of them could bear. For some, the absurdity was even more pronounced. Among those gathered were individuals who had more concubines than the leaves on a tree, much less a mere 500 spots to be divided among all the kingdoms. The sheer scarcity of opportunities was like a blade twisting in their hearts. A heavy silence enveloped the hall, broken only by the sound of faint, uneven breaths. The weight of the abyssal monarch's words pressed down on everyone like a mountain, the true cost of the competition becoming painfully clear. This was no longer about pride or prestige, this was about survival, about ensuring their kingdom's futures. "Then we'll proceed as follows," the abyssal monarch declared, his tone sharp and unyielding. This time, the faint smile he had worn earlier was gone, replaced by an expression of solemn gravity. "The first place kingdom will receive 125 spots. Second place shall take 100, third place 75, and the rest will be allocated 50 each." His seriousness left no room for argument. The weight of his words pressed down on the room like an unrelenting tide, silencing any objections before they could form. Everyone could feel their hearts tighten as the reality of the distribution settled in. Their auras rippled with barely restrained emotion, chaotic and volatile. The abyssal monarch had already given them enough. It was now up to the younger generation to seize the opportunities laid before them. For their kingdoms to claim a significant portion of the precious spots, their divine sons and daughters would have to prove themselves worthy. There was no other way. "The rules of the true Pure Land meeting will remain unchanged," the monarch continued, his gaze sweeping over the gathered assembly. "But the stakes this time are worlds apart. I hope you are all prepared." The finality of his words hung in the air like a thunderclap. "We will gather again 3 days from now. Choose your representatives carefully. Each kingdom and the dragon clan is limited to 10 representatives. Do not waste this opportunity. You may leave." The abyssal monarch's commanding voice echoed through the hall, signaling the end of the gathering. He raised his hand, preparing to send everyone away when suddenly a voice called out, "Your Majesty, I have something to discuss with you." The voice belonged to the heart-painter divine regent, Hua Fachan. Immediately, before the monarch could respond, another voice rang out, "I too have a matter to discuss with your Majesty." It was the dreamless divine regent, Meng Kongchen. "Oh," Mosu's expression shifted slightly, surprise flickering across his usually composed face. He raised an eyebrow and asked, "Anyone else?" The hall remained silent, no other voices joining the requests. Mosu nodded faintly, once again preparing to dismiss the assembly, when the 2 divine regents who had spoken earlier called out in unison, "Boundless divine regent, please stay," as well as nephew Juji. The simultaneous request drew a ripple of curiosity through the room. All eyes turned toward the 2 regents, their gazes filled with intrigue. The unusual specificity of their request left everyone wondering what matters were so urgent and why they required such a small, select group. Is that everyone? The abyssal monarch asked, his tone calm but edged with faint curiosity. Meng Kongchen stepped forward, his voice steady. My son, Meng Jianyun, and brother, Fachen's daughter, Kaylee, shall stay as well. That is everyone. The abyssal monarch turned his gaze toward Hua Fachen, seeking confirmation. The heart painter divine regent nodded, his expression serious. Very well, Mosu said, his tone carrying an air of finality. The rest of you I will see you 3 days from now. With a casual wave of his hand, the abyssal monarch invoked his power. Whether or not the remaining participants wanted to stay, they had no choice. In an instant, they were teleported away, leaving behind only the 3 divine regents, their sons and daughter, the 4 high priests, and the abyssal monarch himself in the vast, ancient hall.